All right, now let's talk about this game that goes by the name of The Day Before. Now, some of you guys may know about this game, some of you may not, but this game has been hyped for so many years. They've been working on this game for like 5 years plus. All right. I remember all the trailers and all this, and they just hyped it up as a survival MMO.
Ooh, yeah. I'm going to have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Okay. And that's what everybody was excited about. It kind of reminded me of a Division game, but it being MMO and it being survival. Okay. And having zombies and all that kind of shit in there. So that's what I thought it was going to be. And that's what a lot of people probably assumed it was going to be. And that's what they were kind of selling to the community and to the masses. But it turns out the shit just went belly up. Okay. The game was, I think, out for about 4 or 5 days, and 4 or 5 days after the launch. Okay. I think the team is called Fantastic. I think that's what it is. Their team and the devs and stuff. But anyway, they basically said, hey, yo, look, we failed financially on this. We just failed. Okay. And I think it's one of the 10 worst games of all time. Okay. Reviewed games. Yeah, it's really bad. It's supposedly really buggy. It's got a lot of issues. And they said that the money that they made is basically being used to pay off all the debt. It's just a lot of shit went south with this game. And they also say they can't even afford to patch the game. They can't even afford to patch the game. And it's really extremely broken. And it's in disarray. And it would cost them too much money to try to work on patches and stuff like that. And that's my thing with the gaming as it is today, man. It's a different beast now. It's almost like it's intended. This is just how the game cycle works. Like you put a team on a fucking game. They make the game. The game is given a release date. When the release date comes out, they're already working on the patches. So they don't have enough time to fully flesh out the game and fully test out the game, right? All this has to be done post-release, and then they end up putting out patches, sometimes for months, sometimes for years. Okay, so many patches. I mean, Cyberpunk's still putting out patches, right? So it's that crazy. If you don't have a notable team, it's not going to work, because you're not going to be able to afford to continue to do that. And it's going to segue into something else here on this episode that I want to talk about. So I'm going to get to that in 2 shakes of lamb's tail, but that's what you hate to hear, but that's just how it works nowadays. I mean, I grew up in a time where, you bought a game and that was the game. Okay. There were no patches. And then I was able to see it all. I was able to see the transformation of the gaming community, the gaming world. I was here for the beginning of it, and I'm seeing it manifest into something else. There's a lot of good in that, and there's a lot of bad. I always say that patches, I don't necessarily like them, but I know they're necessary. And without them, a lot of these games would just be pieces of shit, and never able to just fix themselves. And that's just what it is. When you have games that are so complicated and need so many people and to make them now, you're gonna miss things. You're gonna need to go back and correct things. There're gonna be crazy scenarios that were never able to be calculated, and some random guys found it accidentally. He moved a certain way at a certain part of the map, and it just triggered something that nobody could have tested for. And there you have another issue. So you send that off to them, they get the fucking issue, and then they were able to go back and fix that, so that never happens again, and so on and so forth. So it's just more complicated, because it's a complicated game now to make. These games are complicated as fuck. So you're going to have huge teams, and you're going to have all these things that have to happen. So it's almost like it's a necessary evil to have patches now. As a avid gamer and somebody who loves his retro games too, it does feel good sometimes to just go back and play an older game and not worry about none of that shit, and just pick it up and play it. If there's a glitch in the game, it's just a glitch that the game has, period. You know what I mean? So that's just where I stand on it. And it's very complicated. It's not just black and white. It's definitely a lot of gray areas when you're talking about patches and all that stuff. But this team is not able to afford that. It was just, it was very bad. It just didn't come together right. And that's what happens when you overhype shit and you doctor up trailers, and you spread warm butter across everything, and the lights are always turned down low. And then you can smell the endo sticks in the air. You have, a lot of devs smoking sherm in the bathrooms. And when you add all that up together, the butter, the sherm, the endo sticks, and the sake as well, filled to the brim, you're going to get stuff like this. And this is going to happen. So I'm just being honest, guys. The writing was on the wall with this game. And that's just what it is. Okay. The game even came out differently than what they told us it was going to be. Like I said, it was supposed to be a survival MMO, but it ended up being an extraction game. Okay, an extraction shooter. That's what we're looking at now. So yeah, it's just all over the place. A shitty mess. The crazy thing is you can't even buy the game now. It's not purchasable. If you wanted to go buy it and say, you know what, I'll check it out. I think the game's going for like $40, but so many people wanted their refunds back. So they've probably been giving a shit ton of refunds back. And now they said, you know what, we're not even going to sell this, because why sell it and then have to go through the process of turning right back around and refunding this shit? It's not worth it. So they're not even selling it anymore. And that's where we're at.